real quick. I have my laptop connected.
All right.
Okay.
We are officially streaming. So let's give that a few seconds to kind of like, or a minute or two, just to like go through, I guess.
All right. Oh, nice. I like how that turned out.
All right. Immediately someone said hi. I'm like, what the heck?
Whoa, there's a lot of people on already.
uh, 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 all right. If Hato wants to, what's it called? Like, moderate. I need to message him earlier, or could you message him? Because I need to
Yeah,
like
I'll send
right
him a
click his
message.
name and like set him as moderator.
Okay. All right.
Oh, manage moderators. I can just click that. All right, everybody who's watching, just oh yeah, he's already a moderator, so he's fine.
Sweet.
Everybody that's watching so far, you know, just be a few minutes just to get everything. Not even a few minutes, just a little bit just to get everything set up.
Yeah.
And do you have the list that I sent you, right?
Yeah, I
Online
have it
about
right
that
here. Yeah.
list.
Mm-hmm. Actually, let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah, I don't want to forget it. How's it going, everybody? How's it going, Javis TV, Beyblade Junior, Zeba? Oh, it's really hard for me to see.
Wow, there's a lot of people. Yeah. Hey, everybody. We're here with another
Lawanda
episode.
Jackson, Cameron Baxter, Oscar Gonzalez, Molina,
Mars.
Cyan MC. Pretty dope. Glad to have you all here. Beyblade Burst, Cameron I think I already said Cameron Baxter. Z the Geek. This guy said pin me. I don't think you
Can,
can. You can't
can you
pin
pin?
on a live stream because the chat just goes. But I would pin you if you were actually able to be pinned.
You are the best blader. Oh, thanks, Z the Geek.
He's talking to
Appreciate it.
me. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. So I think we have 33 people watching as of
That's
right now.
insane.
Um, uh, can I? Do you have the link to the stream? Because whenever I try to like look at it, it just takes me to my dashboard. If you could, you should. I don't know if you can, but if you could you post it to the WBO?
Yeah, I'm working on that right now. Hang on, let me pull it up. I got it. I just need to post it now. Are
As you can
you?
see, guys, we are very not ready to stream.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Kind of just did it on short notice, but
Yeah,
you know,
but it's all right.
yeah. How do I sound on your end? Do I sound fine?
Yeah, it's perfect.
But all right, sweet.
Yeah,
You know,
but it's all right.
let me just get the link. I'm trying to post it everywhere.
Post it everywhere.
Yeah. Okay.
Everywhere.
Oh no. Okay. Oh, my computer was gonna crash.
Thank you, Javis. Are you guys gonna battle? No, sadly. Someday, maybe someday, but
Someday, yeah,
not
for sure.
today. Um, we're not gonna be streaming battles, but this is our Beypodcast. If you guys have never seen the Beypodcast before or heard of the Beypodcast, it's all right. There hasn't been one for a while.
Since September,
Yeah,
actually.
we're basically just gonna talk about the some new Hasbro releases and stuff like that. Just talk about how Beyblade is as of right now. But I don't want to reveal everything. So want you guys to be in suspense. But we'll see. You'll see in just a little bit.
Yeah, we have a lot planned, but I think we're trying to keep this at a 1 hour length.
Yeah.
Unlike last time, which kind of dragged out to 3 hours. I'm pretty sure it got kind of crazy at the end.
Yeah. Got really crazy at the end.
Yeah.
All right. So, just to start this whole Beypodcast thing off, I'd like to have just have you guys ask some questions for either me or Kevo or both of us, just to get
Yeah.
everything started. And
Yeah. Anything you guys want to say, feel free to ask.
I want to read this comment really quick. Pokeblade, Roblox, and more. Jake, you inspired me to do Bay battles. I'm gonna do one later today on my channel. Thanks a lot. It's really awesome seeing people saying that I inspired them, and I think I've seen a comment like that on your video or your videos too, Kevo. So I don't know. It's pretty cool just knowing that I inspire people or that we inspire people.
Yeah, it's a really good feeling, and it's at least it makes me feel accomplished in a way because I'm making an impact to people, and I really like doing that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Oh, where is El Drago Wolf? That's a good question.
Who asked that?
I was Enders.
Oh man, I wish I knew.
Yeah, I wish I knew. And here, one moment.
Okay. Also, I always pronounce Kevo's name as Kevo. Oh, okay. I really don't care how you pronounce it. People can say however they want, but the way I pronounce it, it's Kevo. It's short for my name, I guess, because my first name is Kevin. If you guys didn't know. Um,
Sorry
so
about
King.
that. I did not tell Mama Nook that I was streaming, so she was telling me about something for school. All
Okay.
right. Uh, let's answer some of these hip questions.
Okay. King Gamer asked Ilinnuc and Kevo, are you guys friends? Oh yeah, of course. We
Yeah,
go way back.
yeah. I remember. I remember when Kevo first showed up to school with his voice changer strapped to his neck. You
And I had my Beyblade display case when I walked in, so it
Yeah.
was really good. Yeah,
Then I was like
nice.
instantly, I was like, I pulled the goggles off my head, and I was like, hey, let's battle.
Yeah, that's how it went down.
Yeah, no lie at all. Jake, do Doomsizer versus Doomsizer D2. That's coming. I have a bunch of these battles in the works. It's crazy. They just take
Okay,
so long to make that just kind of there's a whole list.
I finally got it posted to the WVO, by the way, so hopefully people can see that.
Nice, nice. Oh, there's a
Gosh, my
question for Kevo. What do you like better, Beyblade Burst or Metal Fight?
you guys might hate me for this, but I like Burst more. I grew up with Metal Fight. Metal Fight was the thing, and then I kind of got tired of it after like 6, 7 years. So yeah, I want to do something fresh, and so Beyblade Burst is my favorite generation now.
Yeah. I know this question isn't for me, but yeah, I don't know, just Beyblade, Metal Fight was cool like at the beginning, but it did get kind of boring. Um, I don't know, I just kind of like the whole like randomness factor of Burst. So, I'd say like as of right now I like Burst better, but looking at it like 5 years down the line, who knows? Like who knows which one I'll look back and be like most nostalgic for.
Hmm. Looks like we have another question. This is by um Conrado Gonzalez. How many burst bays do you own? The last time I counted, it was like 37, I think, but that was a few months ago. I got a lot of bays recently, so I'd probably say in 40 to 50 burst Beyblades right now. That's just an estimate, though.
Dang. Oh, what do you guys think about Hasbro Beyblade Burst? That question is actually going to get answered a little bit down the line, so we'll just put that on hold.
Hmm.
Jake, are you going to buy Lost Longinus?
Mm.
If only Enders knew. What is your favorite Beyblade?
Yeah,
Mine is Hellkirbyx. Kevo, what's your favorite Beyblade?
of all time,
Yeah.
man, that's a good question. Let's see. If I had to pick, I'd say, the one that at least my dream Beyblade to get would be like a black Dragoon GT, but I'd probably never gonna own one of those. But if it came down to like a real life Beyblade, then it'd probably be, oh gosh, my most favorite recent Beyblade is actually Gigant Gaia. I've been messing with that quite a bit. Um, it's like a total beast in battles, so I guess that's my favorite as of right now.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Jake, can you do Excalius versus Excalius, or Excalius versus Excalibur? And that's something I plan to do as well, but I just have not been able to find Excalius yet. I've been looking for it. I go to Target like every almost every other day. It's because it's really close to me, but I just can't find it. Oh,
Dang.
shout out to this guy Luke Cunningham. He has the same last name as me. You're dope.
Nice, nice.
Oh, least favorite Beyblade. Start with you, Kevo.
Okay. Least favorite. That would be Dark Wolf because when I walked into Toys R Us back in like 2010, 2011, they had every single starter for Metal Fusion, and for some reason I picked out Dark Wolf. That was probably my biggest regret because that Beyblade is awful, horrible Beyblade. It's not good at all.
My least favorite. I can't really pick a least favorite for like plastics and stuff. So I'm just gonna talk about like least favorite just in general, and it's easily Storm Capricorn.
Ooh,
I what was it called? Quake or something like not Quake. What was it called? What was the tip called?
it was Quake. Yeah, it
It
was
was
just
Quake.
cute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the whole like jumping around. It looked ridiculous. Like it was cool, like in the actual show, sure, but having it actually just bounce around and crap. Oh, it was sucked.
yeah. I mean, it was more of a gimmick than anything. So
Yeah.
no.
All right, so I think it's time to start the discussion. We'll probably do some questions later, but we're gonna move on to our first topic. And Kevo, I'll let you introduce it.
Okay, let me just pull up this list again. Give me one sec. Okay, so our first topic is the new pictures that we got for the new generation of Beyblade. So that's called Beyblade Burst God. And we finally got to see some images of the first three starters. So that being God Valkyrie, Legend Spriggan, and Blaze Ragnarok.
All right, which one would you like to talk about first?
Um, honestly, I just want to start with God Valkyrie because that's the main one.
All right, let me pull that up really quick.
Okay.
I can't. These are so small. Okay. All right, you should probably be able to see them on screen now. It's going to be covering up my side of the screen. So zoom in on the left side of your screen, guys. So, what do you think? What do you think about the way it looks? First off.
All right. Well, let's see. My first impressions were like, wow, this actually looks a lot like Victory Valkyrie, just looking at it firsthand. And then the other thing that I mentioned in my video was that spring. We see that spring at the top
Mm-hmm.
in the layer. So that's definitely like a whoa. Like, what is that spring gonna work for? What is it gonna do?
Yeah, I didn't notice the spring like straight away. It didn't really I didn't see it until I think I don't know, was it Kai V? I don't know. Someone on the WBO pointed it out, but the first thing that I noticed straight away was just how bulky it is. Like
Hmm.
it's just the way it looks. It's very bulky looking, which is something I'm actually kind of worried about because I don't know. It seems like it have a lot of attack power just based on like its design, but I don't know. I don't know how much stamina it'll have.
You have a point there. Yeah, the bulkiness, that's another thing. Because if you see the side picture, you just see how thick that layer is and how wide the disc is and everything. It's a big chunky Beyblade. It kind of reminds me of Big Bang Pegasus. It went from that jump
Oh
with
yeah,
Galaxy
yeah.
Pegasus, and then Big Bang was just like that big chunky thing. Um, so with these Beyblades, you said it's chunky and all that. It's big. Now my question is, how will the stamina be on these bigger Beyblades? Because
Hmm.
typically that would mean less stamina for these. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out.
Also, like these are only renders, guys. Like I know some people in the comments asked if it's actually gray. It's not. It's not actually gray. These are just like 3D images of what they'll look like. So of course there's gonna be color.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's I don't know if you guys have seen the full color. We haven't. it's kind of hard to see, but they have put some images up, and it will be like a dark blue with yellow
Yeah.
highlights, similar to Victory Valkyrie. So it will be made in the awesome blue color.
Yeah. And one thing I like to talk about also is that the tip. I have heard some people say that it is going to be like sort of like you said, sort of like Big Bang Pegasus, and that it's going to kind of like change. And it would kind of make sense because of just kind of how bulky the driver is towards the bottom. I would not be surprised if like a little dot came out or like a point came out through the bottom. But what do you think about that?
Well, I don't know if you've seen it, but Koro, I think it was Koro, or the official Beyblade Japanese channel, they uploaded like a teaser video, and they launched God Valkyrie. Except they censored the whole thing. It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of ridiculous the way they did it, but you can clearly hear the Beyblade switching modes midway. So once it lost stamina, it switched modes and it accelerated.
Oh.
I think the gimmick will be very similar to FD in the sense that once it loses stamina, it gets that extra boost. And speaking of boost, they did reveal the name of the parts, so it's God Valkyrie, and then I think 6V stands for what was the word? Six something, but I know RB, the tip, the driver, I mean, that stands for reboost. So, the
Oh.
word reboost, that works hand in hand with the gimmick of the Beyblades. So,
All right.
yeah.
That's pretty interesting. And
Hmm.
also the disc, right? It is like a red color, at least on the outside. Do you
Yeah,
think
it
that's going
won't have.
to? Do you think I'm not really sure, but do you think it's going to be like a rubbery material, or do you think it's kind of going to be like painted, sort of like L2, like Lost Longinus?
Okay, so Anders just mentioned the name. It's Six Vortex. Okay, Vortex. That's the word. All right. Honestly, just looking by the images of it, I think it's going to be like Magnum. So it's going to be just like an extra piece of plastic added to the metal. And that's going to stick out a little bit under the layer. So I'm pretty sure it's going to make it kind of like hit a little bit. They're trying to, at least my guess is that Tommy's trying to make the discs become more involved in the game. So they're not just there for adding weight, but rather they're there to make contact now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Um. All right, so I think we should switch to the next release, which is, I think we're gonna do probably Spriggan
Yeah.
first.
Legend Spriggan. Okay, you want to pull that picture up real quick?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up here in one moment.
Okay.
I believe it is this one. It's like very tiny. It's kind of hard to see, and there's like, yeah, here we go. All right.
Okay.
Wait, is that the right picture? I think it is. Yeah,
Let me see.
I think it's the right picture.
Should be the one with the rollers on it. That's the one. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. You want me to start?
Sure.
All right. Well, looking at it firsthand, we saw the top of the Beyblade, and it's three-sided. So that's definitely a new thing for Spriggan.
Mm-hmm.
Because the previous two Spriggans, Storm Spriggan and the original Spriggan, those were two-sided. They had their own S-shaped design because at least with every original burst, the letter of the name correlates to the design of the layer. So Spriggan had that S-shaped kind of thing going on. And then what happened is Tomy switched it to a three-sided design. So that kind of came as a shock because you would think they'd keep the original design, but Tomy just kind of scrapped it and made their own design with this. And another thing is the rollers, or what I think are rollers on each end of the contact points. We get to notice that there's those circular things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just looking at like the design, like I don't know who said it on the WBO, but it kind of looks like a battle striker, in that it's just like you gotta see how like it's designed from the top, but that first picture at the top left does look very like circular, which is kind of different. There isn't like any major like jagged edges coming out, and it's very thick as well. Um, it's just very thick. It's very beefy looking, which kind of reminds me of a Battle Striker. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's definitely interesting. It just kind of looks like it's gonna be more of a stamina or like more defense focus. I don't know. Something about it just doesn't seem as aggressive looking. Especially its tip, which I haven't really seen much or read much about its tip, but just looking at it, it doesn't like unless it can change, just like Valtric. I don't think it will. I haven't really read much about it, but um, I don't think they just be giving changing tips to like every beta that's coming out. But who knows? It just seems kind of odd.
You're right on the driver. That's kind of just I don't know what they're thinking with that because at least with the first two Spriggans, it had the same gimmick where it went from aggressive to stamina, like in between the battle. But this is a completely new design. Adding the rollers to the driver, it's really similar to TR-145 for Metal Fight. At least that's how I'm seeing it. And really,
Mm-hmm.
those things didn't do much in battle. They were just kind of there. And just looking at this driver now, it almost looks like a ball-shaped tip. Um, that really doesn't fit a balance type, in my opinion.
Mm.
And then the rollers just seem like they're going to get in the way, really.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's like if I just saw this picture straight up, like without just thinking about like previous designs and just kind of like just looking at it, it definitely like would not. The idea of it being Spriggan definitely wouldn't be the first thing that popped into my mind. Like looking at its side view and it's kind of like side-ish view at the top left. My first thought would actually be more of like I want to say like a Kirby's because it just looks so defensive. It's not really an extreme in any design. It's just kind of like circular, but I don't know. It could have some sort of change in the driver, but it looks kind of odd.
You're right about that, dude. I really did not associate this Beyblade with Spriggan. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, well, that's clearly Kirbyus or something. But no, this is definitely going to be the Spriggan. It's confirmed, and I don't know what it is. It really does not look like a Spriggan. Just the change in the design and the gimmicks that we're seeing right now, like the rollers. Also, it kind of makes you wonder, like, how is Shu gonna use this exactly in anime? Because Shu's seen as that pro blader that can use special launches and all that. So maybe Legend Spriggan will have some really gimmicky special move or something in the show
Mm-hmm.
where Shu can take advantage of that. But in real life, at least, it just seems like it's not going to work out really. Like I'm
Yeah,
trying to be positive about this, but I really just need to wait and see, I guess, to see how it will perform in battle.
yeah. All right, so let's move on to Ragnarok.
All right. So
There you go.
you want to start off with that?
First thing I want to like just kind of like is very obvious and that pops out to me is
Hmm.
sort of like the tornado esque driver,
Yeah.
which is kind of interesting. Um, some people think that it's going to be that the actual tornado part itself is going to be free spinning. Some people think that it's going to be the tip that's free spinning. I think it'd make more sense if it was the tip, but I don't know. It also seems very round. This one is easily like the most round defense slash stamina focus out of all of them. Like there is like barely any like highly exposed contact points. Um, but I don't know. Something about it seems it seems okay. Like it seems kind of Ragnarokish. It just seems kind of tame once again.
Yeah. Honestly, I think this is a big improvement for Ragnarok because Ragnarok, at least for Takara Tomy, it's been cursed with bad teeth. And with it being a stamina Beyblade, you'd expect it to be more on the rounder side. And the original Ragnarok is actually more aggressive oriented. And same with Rising Ragnarok, it's just more exposed contact points, and that really does not work for stamina.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Kartomi finally realized we should probably make this rounder, and that's basically what they did. It almost looks like they took Rising Ragnarok and just kind of rounded it out. And like you said, that driver though, that looks like it's going to be pretty good at stamina because at least in Metal Fight with DF-145, um, it had the wings on it too, and that seemed to work pretty well for stamina. And I think these wings on this driver will also give more stamina. And like you said, the tip most likely will be free spinning. I really don't see the wings being free spinning themselves, but the wings with the free spinning tip should work out pretty well.
Yeah, and also, um, just looking at the layer, this is kind of I don't think it's gonna actually be a thing, but who knows? It seems like just like the spring sort of gimmick that's in Valtryek, or that could be in Valtryek.
Hmm.
There's also could be a possible gimmick in Ragnarok as well. I'm not really sure if you guys can see it. I'm gonna try to zoom in as much as possible. But you can see at sort of the top and the bottom of the layer, there are these sort of like these claws. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, Kevo, but they're like these sort of claws, and it is kind of rumored that those are gonna pop out a little bit, or that they're gonna pop out while in battle. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It seems kind of weird. I don't really see the purpose in that, and also we know about Takara Tomy's kind of quality issues. So it seems like it could be a part that just snaps off super easily. But what do you think about that?
I really hope that's not the case. I'd prefer for it to be round, actually. Um, if it were to be round, like I said, and just kind of not that aggressive, I think it'd work out pretty well for its intended purpose of stamina. But Kartomi has this up their sleeve, and I guess that's cool. It's going to make it more gimmicky, of course. And just thinking about it now, it would make sense for Takara to add more gimmicks into the layers instead of just Valkyrie having that. So yeah, like we just have to wait and see how that works out, I guess.
Yeah, and one oh I accidentally moved the wrong layer. Uh, one thing that's also kind of weird is I don't really think it means anything, but this is shared with all three of the new designs, and that's sort of like the face bolt esque looking thing at the top of the layer. I don't really know if you could see it, but at the very top, it kind of like protrudes out, which I don't know what the purpose of that is. Um, what do you think that is, Keva?
All right, so with the original burst, we just had the layer. Then came around the dual layers, and they had that little circle thing with the letter imprinted on it.
Mm-hmm.
And now with this generation, we have this extra bit with these extra little notches on it. So there's only two ways to approach this, at least theories I've heard. So the first one being probably the most logical one, and that being, well, it's just there for looks. It's really just there to just make it distinguished that it's part of the new generation. They're trying to make it look new, basically. The other theory, which seems kind of insane, but it would be awesome, would be that you could pop that out and make the layer flip over or something like that and make it
Hmm.
left spin. Make it left spin that way. And that kind of sounds almost like just really unlikely. I really don't see the Kartomi implementing that. So the most logical way or the most logical thing about this would be just that it's there for show, really.
Yeah. One thing that kind of just popped up in my mind, and I'm not really sure if it's been talked about at all, is that uh, there are rumors of a new Baylogger, right?
Yeah, there is.
Um,
Actually, it's confirmed
it's
basically.
confirmed, yeah.
Hmm.
But the thing is with the old Baylogger is that it was very inaccurate, right?
Yeah.
What what I think it could be, other than just obvious looks, is that maybe it could possibly be a new way for the Baylogger to track like RPM and stuff like that. Because it seems like instead of just kind of having like, how did the original Baylogger track? Wasn't it like a chip or something like that?
Basically, it had a chip, and that would attach to the launcher. And when you attach the Beyblade to the launcher, it would hit a little peg in the launcher, which would then touch the chip.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that's how I recorded the launch. And then the launcher itself had this black and white plastic, which would spin when the Beyblade is being launched, and then that would record the launch strength because then the Baylog would read the rotations of the black and white plastic in the launcher. So it was kind of a complicated concept, and reading up on it, I found out that the Baylogger was kind of a flop. It didn't really work out that well.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because I think people were hacking their launching power, and then the ranking system really just didn't work out, I think. So hopefully Tomy has new plans for it. I could see them pulling off something else for the Baylogger, because the Baylogger is used in the anime. So
Yeah.
obviously it's important for TT for them to implement that.
So yeah, like I think that it could be maybe some way to. I mean, this is a stretch. Like this, I'm not like saying that this is actually gonna happen, but it could be a new way for the Beyblade to interact with the Baylogger,
Hmm.
or it could be some sort of new launcher. I don't really think so. It's not like Hasbro just makes a bunch of new, or Hasbro, like Takara Tomy makes like a bunch of new launchers because it incompatibility and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
who knows? We'll see actually very very soon because these launch. I don't know if is it confirmed like March 18th, or at least Valkyrie's March 18th, right?
Pretty sure these first three releases will drop on the 15th, I believe. I could be wrong, but it should be that week when they release.
Yeah, somewhere on there. So that's very soon, and we'll see it very soon. And oh,
Hmm.
I like this comment by Pokeblade, Roblox, and more. I think it's El Drago because it has dragons like El Drago. I
That's
wish.
correct. That's absolutely correct.
I wish.
All
All right.
right.
So,
Do you want to switch
yeah, we're
topics
gonna
now?
go on to our next topic, which is the brand new Hasbro stuff that was kind of shown off at their toy fair, and even something that wasn't shown off at their toy fair, but I did find. I think I found it on the WBO, which I'm going to try and pull up
Okay.
if I can save it as a picture. But did you see anything that kind of just popped out to you in at the toy fair?
Well, for one, there was that set, the Avatar. I believe it
Yeah,
was called the Avatar something set, but basically it was like a larger stadium, and it had its own little guard, but it almost resembled the Viking Stadium in the Burst anime, where these like claw things crashed down into the stadium and smashed the Beyblade. But this is kind of Hasbro's way of making that Viking Stadium. So they added like a Valkyrie sword and a Kirby's claw onto the stadium, I think. And
yeah.
basically, after launching your Beyblades, you have to play with an opponent, obviously, because then both of you try to smash these things down into the stadium in an attempt to crash onto the Beyblades and make them spin out
I actually just pulled up a
sooner.
picture of it. It's called
Okay,
the Beyblade Burst Avatar Attack Battle Set,
that's it. There you go.
and so as you can see by the picture, it's obvious what it is. It's obvious that it is going to be just for fun, just for gimmick. It's not going to actually be competitive or anything because what could be more gimmicky and just not competitive at all than just huge claws that can hit down. And I think there's actually like rules and stuff associated with it. I'm not really sure, but since it is a set, it is gonna come with like two bays. And what's kind of interesting is if you can see on the picture, which I'm gonna balloon really quick. It is Valtric and Kirbyus.
Mhm.
But the thing that's interesting is that the tips look different, or like I don't know why, but Valtric actually has like a pink tip, and Kirbyus has like a black tip. So I don't really know what that is. If that's just a recolor, or if that's just because of the render that they were using. But it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think they're just recolors. I mean, the main point of this set is the stadium. And somebody in the live chat mentioned the retail price for this, and that will be $59.99. So that seems
Yeah.
extremely steep for a set like that. And the problem with these sets really is they're too gimmicky, and then they end up not selling well. And then you end up seeing them at the store for like half price, because
Mm-hmm.
really they're not going to sell well. I'm already seeing this. We saw this in Little Fusion with some sets that they had. I'm not really sure how I feel about this. Kind of disappointed, really. You would think Hasbro would probably learn their lesson the first time,
Yeah.
but no, they went for this again. The whole gimmick with Burst, it just really doesn't work out.
Yeah, and I wanted to show off this kind of. I think this was on their official website for Beyblade Burst. Actually,
Hmm.
um, I just had to like go through this whole process of saving it, but it's gonna kind of cover up the chat for a little bit.
Oh, I see
But
it now.
these are, I believe, the all like the confirmed like 2017 ish releases, or all like the possible releases. And you see Beast Betromoth, Dark Doomsizer. This includes bays that have already come out, like King Kirbyus, um, Dark Doomsizer, Raging Rocktavor, stuff like that. But there's also a bunch of new things as well. Epic, Evapero, Pharaoh Fangriff, Giga, Gaianon. Lord
Hmm.
Hasbro. You just had to make these as hard to pronounce as possible. Hyper Horsuit, you've already seen images of. Inferno Ifrator, Jumbo Jormuntor. Gosh,
Oh
this is
gosh.
ridiculous. Omni Odax, Quill Quetzalcoatl,
Ah, jeez.
U- Uber Unicrest, Wild Wyvern, yeah, it's already been released. Xeno Excalius, at least they didn't change that one.
Hmm.
Yugen Yigdrion, which I believe has already been released, and then Zillion Zutron.
Oh man, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Okay. First off, if you read the description, it says the energy layer represents an ancient fighting spirit and acts as a main point of contact between two tops in combat.
Mhm.
Each energy layer affects how the Beyblade's burst top engages with an opponent and collide in battle. Well, I know you got to like just part of the screenshot, but the full picture I think says quiz yourself on these names, and it lists them as product name and then it lists it as show name. And now you're wondering, well,
Oh
why the
yeah.
heck did they? Why are they doing this? Why did they have to name them Odax O2 and then the show it's called Omni Odax? It's gonna throw off a lot of people, and these names are not the easiest to pronounce, like you said earlier. So that's the thing that kind of got me upset with Hasbro, just them making this whole mess with the naming, and it's just so much to take in.
Yeah. And it's not like they just did it with the layers. They also did it with the performance tips and the forge discs as well, which is kind of interesting. And I'll bring up that picture really
Hmm.
quick. And I don't think, I mean, we've seen Valtryek V2 shown off as Victory Valtryek, right? But I don't
Yeah.
think forge discs have been given a name. And this is kind of like the first time they've been given a name. And as you can see, like the DO1, DO2, DO3, it's actually given names, boost, knuckle, gravity, limited, wing, spread, and stuff like that. And honestly, I don't know why they had to have the whole DO1, DO2 thing at the beginning anyway, and then give a show name. It really doesn't make any sense to me. And it seems like it possibly could have been something they overlooked, and then they kind of maybe they saw reaction to it, and then they changed it because I think I read somewhere that Hasbro actually does pay attention and stuff like that. I mean, why would they not?
Hmm.
So, it's just kind of interesting and kind of ridiculous that they got rid of the names, shortened them down for no reason, and then they're giving the name back.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the names, and for the forge discs and the performance tips, those are actually the exact same as Takara Tomy. Like
Hmm.
those discs have not been changed whatsoever. The only difference is the energy layer, which is pretty much isn't the main part of the Beyblade. So
Yeah.
really, they put themselves in this position where they're just causing a bunch of confusion now with kids. And like I'm looking at it as from a kid's perspective. If I were to look up these Beyblades, I don't know what I'd have to look up because just these different names going around everywhere. And then the app, I know the app uses the full names, but it also uses these short names. The products, the actual physical products, only use the short names, and then the show uses the full name. So it's this big mess of naming. And I think, like you said, Hasbro kind of overlooked this. They didn't really realize that, whoa, this might be a big issue for some people. And it really was simple as just keeping them the way they were, but nope, Hasbro had to change it up and make it extremely confusing for everybody.
Yeah. And what's also kind of odd is that um what they there is no there are bays that are missing, and they are mostly just like just off the top of like my head just looking at it. All like the really late releases like Acid Anubis and Lost Longinus are not mentioned, which means that it's probably a 2018 release. And if you're wondering like, where I'm getting the whole 2017 2018 from, it does say at the bottom of where I got this from, it says available fall 2017 in the US and Canada only. And it refers to that by like a mark. I'm not really sure
Yeah,
if you could see it, but I'll bring up the other picture again. As you can see, some of these bays actually have sort of like this arrow thing that's on them, and
hmm
whichever one has an arrow is supposed to be ones that are only Canada and like pretty much North America only for fall fall of 2017, which it really doesn't make any sense because um, what is it? Raging Rocktivore is already out basically everywhere. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm completely wrong because it's only out in North America anyways. But
hmm
it doesn't really make any sense. Like for example, if Mexico starts getting bays, why would they get Omniodax and Xeno Excalius before getting Rocktivore? It doesn't really make any sense. Let's hope that's not the case. But it seems like all these bays are targeted for um, all of 2017. So
right.
that's pretty interesting.
Adding on to that, they're releasing the cartoon right now as they're releasing the actual products. And the show introduces a new Beyblade just about every other episode, I think. So
Mm-hmm.
you get to see these Beyblades pretty quick. And I guess the problem will be for a lot of kids, I think, is they see this in the show and obviously they'll want them right away.
Mm-hmm.
But with the way that this thing's listing it, saying that people won't be getting Zillion Zutron and Nova Nepstrius and these Beyblades like not till 2018. So that would mean they'd have to wait an entire year before they actually get the toy.
Yeah.
It's just going to be, I think it's going to cause a lot of frustration
Mm-hmm.
and complaints and all that because it's kind of like they're teasing you a little bit. Like, well, here it is in the show. This is how awesome it looks. Oh, well, you're not going to get it for another year. It's like, are you serious? What is Hasbro's plan with this?
Yeah. And as you guys know already, new all pretty much all this new stuff was kind of like shown off at the New York Toy Fair, and I actually have a official picture that was posted by Hasbro, and you kind of just see some of pretty much most of the new things summed up in this picture. It's kind of a big picture. It's kind of weirdly proportioned, so I have to scale it down a little bit.
hmm There's
But
lots to see. Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot going on in this really really small picture. So I'm gonna try to like zoom in on as much as possible. And the first thing I want to kind of show off is, as you can see, these two new sort of set things that are at the pretty much the very right of the whole display, and um, it's a gold string launcher that does come with a gold Excalius. And what do you think about that, Kevo?
All right. Well, we've seen this Beyblade, this specific color actually. This was released by Takara Tomy at their own toy fair, which was, I believe, about a year or two ago. So they released this as an exclusive recolor and with its own separate string launcher and all that. So I guess Hasbro took their idea and trying to make it in their own way. And we could see that it will come with a string launcher, its own string launcher, which will be the first string launcher for Beyblade Burst, at least for Hasbro. So that's a really
Mm-hmm.
good sign, seeing how they're finally going to release that. And then the Beyblade itself, it's just a recolored version of Excalius.
Mm-hmm.
And at least the way it looks, I'm thinking Hasbro's gonna make it with the cloudy plastic again, which probably won't mix that well with the gold. But
Mhm.
I'm hoping for the best. I'm just thinking it might not be the best looking Beyblade.
Yeah, from pictures that I've seen, it's I don't even think there's any cloudy plastic at all. It actually is just all gold. Like it's all that brass gold color. So they're
Hmm.
kind of like scrapping the whole like clear plastic or just for this release. But I think that I don't think this is going to be the only release, and I don't think this is going to be the first release either, because it was either on Toy Wiz or Entertainment Earth. They actually do have a listing for a string launcher, and that was on Toy Wiz and on Entertainment Earth, which is like this website where you can basically buy a bunch of different comic book and anime related things, and almost in bulk if you wanted to. They do have, I think it's like for like $15 or something. You can get the Super Grip launcher and the string launcher, and it has no reference to Excalibur coming with that, or Excalius coming with that at all. So I think this might be just like a store exclusive. I could see this being like Target exclusive or a Toys R Us exclusive, but I don't think it's going to be the only way you're going to get the string launcher.
I really hope that isn't the case with it being exclusive to this set. I'm pretty sure the string launcher will be in high demand
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people, that was their favorite launcher for Metal Fight. And for me specifically, it's still my favorite launcher to use, even for Burst.
Yeah.
Um, on a side note though, Hasbro's Ripcord launchers are actually pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
So, but them releasing a string launcher would still be a good idea to target a lot of other people who prefer the string. And releasing it just in this set would not be smart. I understand they're probably trying to make more money that way.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, I also saw that listing for the individual string launcher, so I think that pretty much confirms that it will be released. We just don't know when.
Mm-hmm.
And but I'm hoping that is the case because I would like to stock up on these. Seeing how in Metal Fusion the string launchers were released as well, but then they became extremely rare.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah, they only released them at least like a couple times, I think. Um, yeah.
Um, yeah, like I think they released them on their own for a little bit back when Metal Fusion first came out, but then they started only packaging them with sets, so you could only get, it was like $30 or might have been like for $35, and you get 3 bays and then the string launcher. And I always had issues with those. Like they always broke. I don't know what it was. I got one and it was broken right out of the box. But I don't know. I'm pretty sure they'll release just a regular one. Um, but it seems very, this is store exclusive material. But we'll just have to see. But I would like to also look at the sort of set thing that's like right next to it. And that is going to be sort of like this glow light up sort of thing.
Okay. So that looks like an electronic burst top, right?
Yeah.
So, Hasbro, they're known for these their own plastic, I mean their own electronic remakes of Beyblades. And usually what happens is that these are a little bit overpriced. They're more expensive than the original ones, and they end up not selling well.
Mm-hmm.
But at least from what I heard, these are actually going to also burst, so they're going to work basically the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that will make them sell better. Personally, I'm not a fan of these. I really never liked these. I think they're more targeted for the younger population because they probably like the flashy lights and effects.
Yeah. I remember back in Metal Fusion they tried to do those, but they were like really big. Like they were insanely big. Um, I think they're like the size of like a small, like a really really small plate, but and they were just ridiculous. Like they had no purpose, they had no function other than making. I think they made sounds a little bit, and they lit up, and they had like different launchers and everything. It was just kind of ridiculous. And then 2 years down the line, I would see them like in clearance bins for like $3.99 because they're just dumb looking. But what's interesting about this one is that it does look like the launcher that is included is just a regular launcher from what I've seen, and
Hmm.
also the bay is really really close to normal sized. Is that the I think the driver is bigger, and the disc is kind of is smaller. It's not as there's not as much metal, and it's kind of like a metal circle. But it's very close to normal size, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I'm not really a big fan of these. They didn't really hit off with me that much. I don't really care for them much. It's not like I hate them, but I don't care for them at all. Um, but who knows? Who knows? Hasbro could produce a bunch of these, but I don't think that's in their best interest right now.
You're right on that. I feel with the previous generation of Beyblade, I think they spent too much of their resources on the gimmicky Beyblades rather than the actual tops.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the last gen, we saw the Tornado Battlers, and then they started off with the XTS series, and then they switched over to the Spark FX line, and then it was this whole mess. And they ended up with the Bay Warriors, which were a pretty big flop,
Oh yeah,
and also the Bay Raiders, another flop. That just they're really just trying to profit off the name of Beyblade at that point
yeah,
by
and Bay
making all of
Wheels
these.
and
Yeah, Bay Wheels, can't forget that either. So
yeah,
really, I think Hasbro needs to realize they need to just focus on the main tops, just like Takara Tomy, because Takara Tomy does release their own electronic tops here and there, but their main focus are the tops because that's what people really do care about. Um, so yeah,
yeah,
Hasbro definitely has plans. We're just not sure what they're planning exactly. And since they are listening to us, I hope they can understand that we really do not want gimmicky stuff like the electronic tops, that we'd rather prefer the original tops because that's really what Beyblade is all about.
yeah. So now let's look at the. It's not really much to talk about, but there is going to be a new stadium, new kind of a basic stadium. It's not going to be in a set or anything, and it's kind of like a red. It's basically just the one that's in the Epic Rivals battle set, except it just kind of has a few more edges, I guess. The
Hmm.
dimensions look almost the same. It's just that the pockets are a little bit bigger. But I heavily heavily dislike the blue stadium. I don't like it much at all, and this one looks a little bit better. It kind of sucks because what I liked about Metal Fusion stadiums is they're all like the exact same almost, except they kind of maybe range in like what was on the inside. They made stacking them super easy, but none of these will stack together, which is kind of disappointing.
True, true. Yeah, this red stadium, it looks like you said, like the Epic Rivals battle set, but just it looks like it sticks out a little bit more. And what I'm hoping is that the ridge, or at least the distance between the surface, I mean the play area and the pockets, I hope they're not too close, because that was the major flaw with the blue one. The fact that the Beyblades would simply run out into the pockets and just ruin the whole battle, really.
Yeah.
Um, Seems way too compact for Burst. And, it makes you wonder, what if they would have gone with Tomy's approach, where they just, had a basic surface, but they just had the guard to contain the parts. And, I was thinking that their concern would be the flying parts. And that's obviously not the case because their stadiums don't have any guard on them whatsoever, with the exception of the one and the Avatar set. But like I said, the blue one and the yellow one that we have so far, those do not have guards. So their concern is not flying parts, and I don't see why they had to design them this way, with the super small play area.
Yeah. And then in that picture, you do see it's really not worth kind of like trying to examine all the pixels that make up the all like the Beyblades, but you do see some new Beyblades at the Toy Fair. You do see Fang Finrear. You do see some new Bays, but they're just kind of too hard to show off in the stream. So um, I think we should move on to our final topic, and that is kind of like the rebirth of, in my opinion, I like to call it the kind of like the rebirth of bay tubing. And
Hmm.
how about would you like to talk about it first, Kevo?
Sure. You know, I wanted to make a video on this specifically, and I'll probably expand on that later
Yeah.
in our own separate video. But I do want to discuss it now. And basically, me and Ilinnuc, we've been in the community, I mean, the Beytuman community for a while now. I'd say at least
S-
5, 6 years, right?
I think I've been in it almost like 6.5. I think.
Yeah, I'd probably be about the same for me. I didn't make videos until about 2012, I think, so I was a little bit later. But I was still around seeing basically the explosion in popularity for Beyblade. So, it was a drastic jump because Metal Fusion dropped everywhere worldwide, and then all of a sudden you would see these channels with their videos hitting hundreds of thousands of views. And nowadays, if you look back, some of these have over 1 million views. So
Yeah.
Beyblade was definitely popular for that whole generation, which I'm pretty sure that popularity lasted at least 3 years, I want to say.
Yeah.
Um, and then eventually, and it was kind of depressing just thinking about it. Like it did die out. It died out
And it
pretty.
died out. It died out pretty hard too.
Yeah, it kind of like crashed really hard. So, um, and I think a lot of factors went into it. One being, I guess people weren't really fond of 4D when it first came out. People thought it was too much to handle. So I remember a lot of people leaving after that point. And the other thing was the Maximum series, which is what Takara Tomy called it. That was basically the release of Screw Capricorn, Flame Bixes, Hellcurbex, and Assault Heroium. So those four Beyblades pretty much changed the entire game in the sense that they were extremely overpowered compared to everything else. So
Yeah.
that
So
also kind of alienated a lot of people. But then the other thing would be just, I think, Hasbro changing a lot of stuff here and
yeah,
there. So
Hasbro just like diversified everything way too much, and they just tried to bring in pretty much everything they could just to put as many Beyblade things on the shelves, and then eventually just people just stopped caring, um, and it was just gone. It was gone for a long time. The community for it was, I don't want to say the community was dead, but it wasn't like nearly as strong as it was before. And that's sort of the reason I stopped making videos, because I just personally just did not enjoy Beyblade anymore. Um, Mainly because just I hated Zero G a lot, and there wasn't anything afterwards, so I just stopped. And then ever since coming back, it's been it's been almost, I don't want to, I'm gonna be honest, it's been like almost life changing, because a lot of things have happened for me, and I'm
right.
sure, like, I mean, your channel too. I think, weren't you at like less than 4,000 subs when you started or something like that, or I don't even know.
Yeah, when Burst came out here in the US, I was at about, I think, under about 4,000
Yeah.
subscribers. So yeah, I felt the same way about Zero G. I had high hopes for it actually. Initially I was hoping that it would change up and probably revive the community. It did the exact opposite. People were not fans of it, and it kind of killed it off. It was like the last thing that just made it die out.
Yeah.
And then, we had this time period where it was just Hasbro releasing Legends because they released their own line, Beyblade Legends, which was a pretty good idea, just poorly executed. I remember them not releasing them that well. I remember Canada got most of it, when then the US got some stuff here and there. So very poorly distributed, and that kind of didn't help at all. And then Hasbro kind of just ended it there with Legends, so that finished it there. But we had this time period where Takara wasn't doing anything. We're just wondering, well, what's going to happen next with Beyblade? Is it gone forever? Is it done for? And then we heard about Burst. So with Burst, I was extremely, extremely excited and hopeful that the community would return back
Mm-hmm.
to its former state where everything was awesome and hyped. And then
It kind
Burst
of
dropped.
didn't for a
Yeah,
while.
that's the thing. Burst came out, but people were just, they did not like it. They hated it. They thought it was too different. They weren't used to the change because Burst
Yeah.
is a pretty big, drastic change compared to Zero G and Metal Fight. The weight's different. The Burst gimmick is entirely new, and people were not fans. And that's something that kind of was disappointing, at least for me, when I was trying to revive my channel with Burst. I was focusing on it and making no progress because people were not watching it. So then I heard about Hasbro's plans, and I was hoping, well, okay, maybe Hasbro's gonna bring it back, and it kind of has since they released it. The only issue being the fact that they're so different now. Takara, Tomy, and Hasbro Burst are completely different toys.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes it difficult to make videos because it kind of makes you wonder, well, what do I want to focus on? Do I want to focus on Hasbro Burst, or do I want to focus on Takara, Tomy Burst? And I think it's going to split some channels. At least for me, it's kind of split my content up in a sense where I want to focus in just one area.
Yeah. Um, like I came back and I want to and like I think it was like July of 2016, right? And it was actually pretty big. Pretty amazing. All the people that was kind of like welcoming me back. But I tried to make videos before and they didn't like not Beyblade related and they didn't really get like any attention at all. And these videos were actually getting views, which is really awesome because I don't make videos just for the views, but I make videos that I want you guys to enjoy. Which when I see that this video gets views, it means that I feel like I was successful. Like I successfully made a video that you guys liked, and that's what I really like about it. And it just kept slowly kind of going up. It wasn't like there was this huge like bell curve or anything, but right around when Hasbro released, more in like towards December-ish is when it just took off. It just took off.
Yeah. And I think multiple channels are experiencing that right now. At least in my case and in your case, for me, I saw this change a little bit later. It took a while to about mid-January. I noticed this spike in my views and subscribers. So
Mm-hmm.
that came as a big shocker. I was thinking it was going to be more steady, but I mean, just looking at my current stats, like it's a big change. Over 300% increase
Yeah.
compared to December and November. So it kind of makes you wonder: is this going to continue growing? And that's my hope. I
Yeah.
really don't want to see Burst. Yeah, I don't want to see Burst come and go though. I want to see it continue.
Yeah.
Doing that, but it's not just our channels. I do know that a few other channels are also experiencing this rapid growth. So I hope it helps the community out, especially us Baytubers who we're really struggling, I think, with Metal Fight kind of dying out. And then with this new generation, of course, it's bringing in new people, and that's obviously really good. It's nice having new people to make content for, because you're not having to give into making Metal Fight videos all the time. So that's definitely a plus.
Yeah. Like I think that in the past, what is it? The past like 30 days or something like that, I've gotten over like 2,300 subs, which is a whole lot because not even like to be honest, like just looking at it, not even my channel back in like 2011 at like its very very peak, was it getting that many. So it's awesome. I can't
Yeah,
really explain it other than just saying that it's pretty amazing seeing it kind of explode. And I really hope that Hasbro kind of capitalizes on this a little bit because it shows that people are obviously excited. So they need to start putting in their marketing money now versus later, and really get people interested rather than just like YouTube ads. I think as of right now, I think it was kind of a soft launch in the US so far, but as soon as like they think it's fully ready, I think this should be like the front of shelves, Like at Target, when you go to Target, there's always like this one area in the toy aisle that's like completely like decked out. Like sometimes it's Star Wars, sometimes it's like
all
Legos.
wheels. Yeah.
Yeah. Beyblade needs to be there, and they need to pay the extra money or whatever they need to do to make sure that it's there. And just kind of like let it flow and not try to like force it to be popular too much.
hmm I really think Hasbro, they can definitely take advantage of this hype that's going on. It's really up to them though. I know we can't really, we talk about it and they say Hasbro listens to us, but I hope they really get the idea that, like, if they don't take advantage of it now, it's not going to be the same, let's say a year from now, because Burst could drop in popularity or it could keep increasing. They just really need to
Hmm.
act
Yeah.
fast. because only then can they make the most profit, because that's really what they care about, making profit, of course.
Yeah.
So that's up to them. But going back to channels, I've had a lot of recent growth too, and it's shocking because back then I was more of a viewer rather than Baytuber, so I didn't really make anything. But I saw a lot of people explode in popularity, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. And experiencing it firsthand, I'm like, whoa, this is exciting, and it's awesome. And both Tomy and Hasbro were releasing stuff pretty much at the exact same time. So people are getting even more hyped because both companies are doing their work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Hasbro, I think, has more influence with people because obviously they're the distributor for North America and elsewhere. Because I
Yeah.
think Takara Tomy has Asia for the most part, but Hasbro has influence over everywhere else, and they have the power to make Beyblade popular again. And I'm not saying it isn't right now, but they could definitely expand on it and make it even
Yeah.
more popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so kind of like wrapping up the podcast, it's been pretty great. Kind of a lot of new information, a lot of new things coming soon. I hope to do one of these soon. And I'd kind of like to wrap it up just by saying thank you. I'm going to make another video on this later,
Hmm.
separate. But it's kind of like thank you just for subscribing and actually watching. It's pretty amazing because in the past 8 months, since from coming back after like a year or two gone, um, I've gotten like what is it, like 1/4 of my total subscriber count in the past 8 months, which is it's pretty amazing, and it just shows that that shows all the support that I'm being given, and it's pretty great, and especially for you, Kevo, like because you know it's been pretty awesome to see like that
Yeah.
even like smaller channels, like we're smaller channels, in comparison to a lot of other people, and that it's not just bigger channels that grow. There's kind of a chance for like the littler people too. That's pretty amazing.
It really is. And just adding on to that, I remember being stuck at, I want to say 2 to 3 thousand subscribers. I was at this kind of cap where I really couldn't overcome that. But with Burst, I honestly feel like with this growth, I could probably reach new levels of subscribers and all that. So that really makes me hopeful for the future because it shows that there's definitely good signs that are going to happen later on. A lot of good stuff coming up for Beyblade as a whole, and the community is obviously going to grow, so that's also going to help out. So it's been awesome so far, being here over the years, and this new growth again with Burst is just going to be really awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that a lot of people will grow in popularity,
Hmm.
and that you know things change because channels come and go. Some channels get popular, some don't, and some channels that were popular don't get as popular anymore because I'm pretty sure people get tired of some stuff. So seeing these new Baytubers coming or showing up, I think that's going to be a big help for the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you guys for coming along and watching. It's been pretty amazing. Thank you, Kevo, for being on the podcast. Hopefully we can have a third person for the next one, or whenever that is.
Yeah.
And yeah, Kevo, you do your outro, and then I'll do mine.
All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for having me on Ilinnuc. It was an awesome Bay podcast, and I apologize for not planning this. This is sort of last minute, kind of on
Hmm.
the spot. But we're trying to make this more consistent with the Bay podcast. Hopefully, we'll have more episodes here and there. Instead of like, I think how long did it take? Our last episode was in September, I
Yeah.
believe. So it's been a while. But with the hype, the burst hype, I think we'll have more. We'll be more encouraged to do more episodes of this because it's really awesome discussing and seeing this stuff going down. So yeah, I just want to thank you again, and it's awesome being here. I want to thank everybody that stayed and listened to the whole podcast. So that was a big thanks from me. Also, if you guys aren't familiar with my channel, I do
Oh
make
yeah, yeah,
videos.
yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely go check them out.
yeah. So I
Um,
make yeah. Uh, I make burst videos. If you like seeing that kind of stuff, check me out. And yeah, that's it for this video. I mean, that's it for this Bay podcast episode, and it's awesome. It was awesome being here.
all right, now do your outro. Do your
Okay.
outro.
Okay, let's see. How does it go? That's it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And until next time, guys, see ya. And then that's when I move my hand over the camera and go, and then cover it up. Yeah.
And then you like slowly press the stop recording button.
There you go. Yep, that's
All
exactly.
right, so yeah, thank you guys for coming along. I hope you enjoyed. Have fun, and bay away.